My new apartment was a steal. A spacious one-bedroom on the second floor of a charming pre-war building right in the heart of the city. High ceilings, hardwood floors, a little nook perfect for a home office. It seemed too good to be true. And as I would soon find out, the first week was bliss. I was unpacking, arranging furniture, making the place my own. I loved the big bay window in the living room that overlooked a quiet, tree-lined street. It was my favorite spot to sit with my morning coffee. Everything was perfect. Then came the second Tuesday. I'd stayed up late working on a project, and my sleep schedule was a mess. I woke up suddenly, my heart pounding, with that unsettling feeling that you're not alone. I glanced at my phone. 2:17 a.m. I rolled over, trying to go back to sleep, but then I saw him. Through the sheer curtains of my bedroom window, a silhouette, a man. Just standing there? My blood ran cold. I live on the second floor. There's no fire escape on that side of the building, no ledge, no balcony, nothing. Just a sheer 10-foot drop to the concrete below. I squeezed my eyes shut, telling myself it was a dream, a trick of the light, a shadow from a tree branch. When I dared to look again, he was gone. The next morning, I tried to rationalize it. Sleep deprivation, stress, and overactive imagination. I went to the window and looked out. Nothing, just the empty air and the quiet street below. I even pushed the window open and leaned out as far as I dared. No footholds, no pipes, nothing a person could stand on. I laughed it off, feeling a bit foolish. But the next night, it happened again. I woke up, a cold dread seeping into me before I was even fully conscious. I knew what time it was without looking. 2:17 a.m., and there he was. The same silhouette, perfectly still, standing just outside my second floor window. This time I didn't close my eyes. I stared, my heart hammering against my ribs. He was tall, thin, wearing what looked like a long coat. I couldn't make out any features. He was just a dark shape against the faint city glow. He didn't move. He didn't try the window. He just stood there. I was paralyzed with fear. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. I just lay there watching him for what felt like an eternity. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, he was gone. It wasn't like he walked away or climbed down. One moment he was there, the next, just empty space. This became my new, horrifying routine, every single night. I'd try to stay awake, armed with a baseball bat, but exhaustion always won. And every night, I'd wake up a minute or two before 2:17 a.m., my body's internal clock now tuned to terror, and he would be there. Always the same time, always the same spot, always the same unnerving stillness. I stopped sleeping in my bedroom. I dragged my mattress into the living room as far from that window as I could get, but it didn't help. I'd still wake up, knowing he was there, just in the other room. The thought of him standing there, separated from me by just a wall and a pane of glass, was somehow even worse. I called the police. They were understandably skeptical. "A man is floating outside your second-story window, ma'am?" I could hear the barely suppressed smirk in the dispatcher's voice. They sent a car around a few times, but of course, they found nothing. They probably thought I was crazy or a prank caller. I couldn't blame them. I was starting to think I was crazy too. I tried everything. I bought blackout curtains, thick, heavy things that plunged the room into absolute darkness. But the first night I used them, I woke up at 2:17 a.m. to the sound of a soft, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap, right on the window pane. Coming from behind the curtain, I've never been more terrified in my life. I spent the rest of the night huddled in my bathtub with the door locked, listening to the tapping that went on for what felt like hours. Desperate, I started researching the history of the building. I spent days in the city archives, digging through old newspapers and property records. At first, nothing. Just deeds, sales records, boring stuff. But then I found it. A small article from a local paper, dated almost 50 years ago. The headline read, "Local Man in Tragic Fall." The story was about a man named Alistair Finch who had lived in my very apartment. He was a reclusive clockmaker, known for his obsession with precision and time. One night, he had a heart attack. He stumbled towards the window, trying to get air, and fell to his death on the street below. I scanned the article, my breath catching in my throat, when I saw the detail at the very end. The coroner's report. The estimated time of death was 2:17 a.m. Suddenly, it all clicked into a horrifying picture. This wasn't a man trying to get in. This was a memory, an echo, a tragedy replaying itself over and over. Alistair Finch, the clockmaker, forever falling from my window at the exact moment his time ran out. The man wasn't standing there to scare me. He was just stuck. Knowing the story didn't make it any less terrifying. In fact, it might have made it worse. This wasn't a random threat I could fight or scare away. This was a ghost, a permanent fixture of my apartment. I couldn't afford to move. I was trapped here with him. So I decided to try something different, something crazy. That night, instead of hiding, I waited. At 2:15 a.m., I stood by the bedroom window, my hands trembling. I took a deep breath. At exactly 2:17 a.m., he appeared. The familiar, dark silhouette. My heart was a drum against my ribs, but I forced myself to speak. "Alistair," I whispered, my voice shaking. "Alistair Finch, I know who you are. I'm sorry for what happened to you. But you don't belong here anymore. It's over. You can rest." The figure remained perfectly still. For a moment, I thought it was useless, that I was just a crazy person talking to an empty shadow. But then something changed. The silhouette seemed to flicker, to waver, like a heat haze on a summer road. It turned its head, slowly, as if looking right at me. I couldn't see eyes, but I felt a gaze. It wasn't menacing. It was sad, lost. And then, for the first time in all those weeks, he did something different. He didn't just vanish. He seemed to dissolve like smoke, fading slowly into the night until there was nothing left. I stood there for a long time, staring out the empty window, my whole body shaking with a mix of terror and relief. I didn't sleep much that night, but for the first time in a month, it was a choice. The next night, I waited again, my stomach in knots. 2:16 a.m. ticked over to 2:17 a.m. Nothing. 2:18 a.m. Still nothing. The silence and the emptiness outside my window were the most beautiful things I had ever experienced. He never came back. I still live in the apartment. Sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll glance at the clock with a jolt of fear. But 2:17 a.m. always passes in silence. I still love the bay window, but now I look at it differently. It's not just a window. It's a reminder. A reminder that some places have stories, and some stories just need to be heard before they can end. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there.